Yeah, okay, guys, we can move forward. We can go to packet tracer. We can try to put 4 computers and 1 switch, right? We are going to see how your switch will get MAC addresses. You remember that a switch will have a database. That database will keep all the MAC addresses, right? Let's do it. Mine is asking me to log in first. Just 1 switch, 2961. But we can take like any. My password. Okay, I'm gonna just pick up the first one. Let's put just 4 computers. It's gonna have like 24, 48, right? But for now, because we wanna do it fast, we can connect. I'm gonna pick up like any, I don't know, on your side too, we can do the same. Okay, we are just waiting to be green, and right? So we will need a console cable. I can use one of the PC because I want to access the switch, right? So I need a console cable. Okay, now let's access the switch, right? You can do it together with me. Let me first make sure that my screen is visible. Terminal, you keep the default configurations, enter, right? For me, from the user mode, we cannot do nothing, you know already. Let's make sure that I'm sharing the correct one. Okay, we can go to privilege mode. You must be in privilege mode because this is where you can monitor some of the configurations. Okay, let's try. You type show MAC address table. Oh, you can. Is it fine? Show MAC address. Right? And I'm gonna press enter. What do you see? My table is empty, eh? Why my table is empty? My database still empty, right? So the database from the switch still empty. And the question why? Because when you switch on your switch, right, and you connect your computers, you are done with the cabling, right? There is no way your switch will get those MAC addresses. the switch must wait for computers to try to talk, right? For the switch now to keep the MAC address. When your computer will try to talk to another computer, now the switch will say, okay, I will keep your MAC address. Because your communication will pass first by the switch. So the switch now will keep your MAC address. And when your friend will try to reply, the switch also will keep the MAC address, right? So you're gonna punch like the IP, like in one of the computer, you go to all the computers, you put your IPs, right? When you try to ping or to send messages, this is when now the switch will build the database, right? Let's go to our computers. Let's assign them what? The IP addresses. Everybody must choose like its own IP. It can be class A, class B, or class C. Use whatever that you like, but follow the requirement or follow the structure of a class A, class B, and C, right? So don't get panic and say, why my database still empty? Because there is no communication yet. So we are going to go back to every computer. We are going to assign like an IP address, right? So me, I like the class C, 192.168.1.2 subnet mask, right? When I'm done with the first one, I can go to the second one. So I'll give it also an IP. When I'm done, I can go to my third computer. I can also give it an IP. When I'm done, I can go to the last one. So I'm going to do my last one. Okay, now, when I'm done, right? You have to ping one of the computer, right? You can try just to ping. Okay, let me try to ping one of my neighbor. So I'm gonna just go to command prompt. You have to ping, right? Let me first make sure that I'm using the correct one. Okay. So I'm gonna ping one of my PC. Let's say, okay, I can ping this one. You see there's a reply, right? When there's a reply, you can now go back and check again your MAC address table, right? So you can go back to your design. Let's check again the MAC address. So I'm gonna go to terminal. Right? So you can just press the arrow key, like up arrow key, just to bring the comment back. no, the arrow key, the up one. So the command is show space MAC hash address hash table.
So I guess that's option.
No, for the command to come back, for the previous one that you used before. Now, when you press enter, you can see now, right? See this column. Let me first make sure that they can see my screen. You can see 4 columns, right? First column shows the default VLAN, right? All the computers are in which VLAN? VLAN 1, right? Maybe one of the computer cannot communicate with another one, maybe because it's using a wrong VLAN, right? One VLAN means same network. Okay, let's go to the next column, MAC address, right? First, how many MAC addresses are here? 4, right? But it's another way of, from packet address is another way of writing or representing a MAC address. Right? Don't worry. So you could see here, there are 4 MAC addresses. Why? Because I have 4 computers. So from the switch, you can see all those 4 MAC addresses because we do have 4 computers. From here, later on, because you are moving, you are learning new configurations, we are going to see how to play around, how to block or allow computers from their MAC addresses, right? But when you know how to get those MAC addresses, the command is show space MAC hash address space table. Now you can go to the database. This is the database of the switch. We call it MAC address table. This is the database. Now, how the switch got those MAC addresses? By using which method? Dynamic, right? By itself, the switch got those MAC addresses, not statistically. Statistically means that you as an engineer, you went there, you told the switch what to keep, right? You see, this type shows like your switch got these MAC addresses automatically, dynamically, by using the ARP protocol, right? But there is a way that we are going to see later on. You can add those MAC addresses yourself manually, right? And manually, you're gonna see from the type, it will show what? Static, right? And there are questions. Sometimes they can just show you a screenshot and they're gonna say how the switch knew about this MAC address. You're gonna just check there the type, static or dynamic. So the switch knew about those MAC addresses dynamically. This is the meaning of the type, the third column. And the last column, MAC address 0001.c787. The first MAC address is plugged to which port? FA0/12, right? So the switch will tell me which port is connected to which computer, right? So if there is a problem, you can fix it from here. You see? So it's showing you, the database will show you the VLAN, which network that computer belongs to, what is the MAC address, how the switch knew about that MAC address, and which port this MAC address or this computer is connected to. As I said, sometimes you can see just a screenshot. They will give you a screenshot and they will ask you which port this computer is plugged to, right? Just the interpretation. Just to know like, okay, what does it mean by column 1? Column 1 shows which VLAN this computer belongs to. Second column is what? MAC address. Those are my MAC addresses. This is the type, how the switch got those MAC addresses. Somebody put it them or dynamically, like automatically. So that column will show you. And the port, which computer is connected to which port. There is no need for you to go and start checking the cables, right? So you can know, you can just go from where? From the switch, you will know, you can come, you can say, this computer is connected to what? To port number. You can print this screenshot, or maybe you can have a paper. You just go to the computer, you said, get MAC address. When you're gonna know like the MAC address, and you know the database, you will know, okay, this computer is port number. This, you go there to the switch, you remove or you plug it again, right? Don't go and start checking the cables like this. Hey, which cable is for this computer? Hey, which one is this one? No, no, no. Just go to the switch, show space, mark space, address space, table or hash. You will know all those informations, right? Very important for troubleshooting. So you know how somebody can learn about the whole company, right? So I can know your MAC address from here. Suppose like we are connected using this wireless access point. You will know the MAC address of. So somebody can know the information about the whole infrastructure just by using the comment. So it's learning about your network, right? Okay. Just to exercise yourself, you can just do your small network. Try to see how you can get MAC addresses. But you must know that from the beginning, when you plug, the switch will never learn about those MAC addresses. There must be a communication first. You can try to ping, and now you can get those MAC addresses, right? When you are done, you have only 2 minutes. Just practice a bit about this command. You can put your own network. Try to get those MAC addresses. Now from CCNA2, this is where you're gonna learn about the VLANs, how to create VLANs, how to stop the computers, how to block computers from the MAC address, how to allow some other computers from the MAC address, how to assign speed to a specific port. You can say maybe this port, maybe you don't like your friend, you can, okay, this port, this guy is plugged to this one, okay, this MAC address, 1 megabit per second. You can just cry, hey, my internet is slow. What's going on? Why, my friend, it's fast? This because they already play around from this switch or from the wireless access point, right? But slowly by slowly, you are learning different configurations, but all of them need to be done, right? Okay, practice a bit for 2 or 3 minutes. We can move forward, right? Or we can continue. I will check later, right? Okay, let's just carry on, and you are going to continue later on, right? Because if I want to give you time, you're going to take, some of you will take 2 minutes, some of you will take 30. Okay, let's move forward. You are going to practice at the end. Let me go back to my documents, right? Let me try to share something. Okay. Now, yes, we are going now to talk about these concepts, right? There's what we call bandwidth, there is throughput, latency, there is delay, attenuation, and crosstalk. Just to define them, they are technical terms that you have to know, right? What does it mean by bandwidth? What does it mean by bandwidth? Bandwidth. What does it mean? You always say it. Bandwidth means what? Maximum, yeah, maximum amount of data that you can send. Like my friend said, right? Maximum amount of data that you can send from one device to another device. Maximum amount, right? Like you got your network, you have to know the bandwidth. What is the maximum amount of data that you can send between one computer to another computer, or between your phone to a wireless access point, or between phones, right? What does it mean? You see, like you got a freeway. That freeway will have what? Maximum number of what? Of cars, of speed, right? So the capacity, the maximum one, right? Maybe this classroom can only take 50 students. So the bandwidth is gonna be what? 50, right? Maybe you can only have 5 friends. Means your bandwidth is 5, right? Maybe your house can only take 100 people. Means the bandwidth is 100. So the maximum amount of data that can be sent between one device to another device. Finished. Now the throughput is what? The maximum can be 50, but you can only, maybe you received only 20. This is what? The throughput. The actual what? Actual data that is traveling, right? This is what we call a throughput. Actual amount of data sent, right? Maybe your house can only take, the maximum is 50 people, right? But that day you only get 20. That 20 is the throughput, right? Suppose like maximum amount of data that your network can send and receive is 100. This is the bandwidth, right? But that day you only use 20 megabytes per second. This is the throughput, the one that you actually using, right? Suppose like you have a box, that box can take 20 components. Bandwidth is 20. But if maybe that day you only put like 10, that 10 becomes throughput, right? What does it mean by latency? Latency means what? In the English terms, it's hard for me to type. I have to check. Latency means what? The time that you have to wait for your message to be sent or received. So we call it latency. Waiting time. I'm looking at, huh? So waiting time, like maybe a latency for sending maybe your message can be 2 seconds. Means what? It's the time that takes for your message to wait before being sent or received. The waiting time, we call it latency, right? But I don't know the longer definitions, you can get them from everywhere, right? What they saying, okay, I cannot check. What does it mean by attenuation? Attenuation means what? Reduction of the signal. When your signal becomes like weak, it means attenuation, right? But I don't know how to write it like shortly. I like to short, but you understood what I'm saying. So attenuation, it means when your signal becomes weak, right? We can call attenuation when the signal becomes weak. Crosstalk means what? It's like the noise. You know, when you have 2 devices, right? Like 2 devices that want to talk at the same time. Or maybe you got your phone and there's a microwave. They can create what we call, a crosstalk. It's like a noise between 2 devices. We call it crosstalk, right? Like maybe you got your phone and what else? Maybe your radio, right? Maybe they are using the same band or same frequencies. They can create some noises. So we call it crosstalk. Some interference. So when there is interference between devices, you will get what we call a crosstalk. That noise that happens when two devices, right? And there is what we call, but I will send you this document. The good put is what? It's what you actually are receiving or sending minus whatever that's going on there, like the noise and so on. Throughput minus the traffic overhead, all right? You have just to know those concepts. What does it mean by bandwidth? What does it mean by throughput? What does it mean by latency? Because you can pick up 1 or 2 questions. They will ask you about that, right? Let's move forward. Now we are going to talk about Ethernet cable, right? Ethernet. Right, let me just check a bit. Maybe some guys, they're looking for me, you know, we always say, okay, we are going to talk about the Ethernet cable, the most used cable when you have a network, wherever there are networks. This cable is the most used one. And that cable, oh, I don't know if I have it. So this is what? The Ethernet, right? This one, the Ethernet cable, right? Use the Ethernet cable, this one, right? Now, this cable will come with different types, right? This cable will come with what? Different types, right? But we call it categories. So there is what we call like Cat 5, like Cat 5E, Cat 6, Cat 6A, up to Cat 8, and so on, right? So these cables will come with categories. Maybe this one is Cat 5. Maybe this one is Cat 6. Maybe this one is Cat 6A. So when you wanna buy this Ethernet cable, you have to know which category am I looking for and why. But it's written there. You're going to check later on. Maybe on the box itself, you're gonna see it's written category 6A or 7 and so on, right? Always a check. We're going to see why. So when you wanna buy this Ethernet cable, you must know the category, right? The category of the cable. It's written like on the cable or maybe on the plastic or on the box that's, right? It's written. Now you have to know those categories, right? And those categories will also come with what? Numbers, right? That number, this number, this 5, 5E, 6, 6A, or 7 will show what? Will show some standard and specifications, right? So what does it mean? When you see like this Ethernet cable, it's Cat 5 or category 5, what does it mean? It means that that cable will have its own speed, maximum distance, and maximum bandwidth. This is the meaning. So for every category, you will know like this cable, because it's 6A, the maximum distance of my cable must be 100 meters, maybe. So when you know the category, you will know the length of the cable, right? Let's say you are using a category 5. Category 5, maximum length, it's 100 meters. What does it mean? Between two computers, the maximum length of that cable, because it's category 5, it must be 100. When you go like over, you will start losing data. The communication won't gonna be fine, it's gonna be weak because we are using category 5. Did you understand? Category 5, it's 100 meters. So between that switch and your computer, or maybe your printer, that length, the only maximum speed, length is 100. Don't go more, because when you go more, you will start losing data. The communication will be weak. This is the meaning. Now, you can see also here, like the speed, 100 megabits per second, right? So means the maximum speed that cable can send and receive it what? 100 megabits per second. The size of data is 100 megabits per second. So when you know the switch, when you know like the port, you will know which cable you can use, right? Now, as I said, those numbers will determine length and speed. That way they are different numbers because they are different improvements. They are like versions. Version 5, version 5E. There is no need for you to memorize. You can only maybe memorize for the exam. But for the work and so on, when you want to do your work, just go to the internet, just check the category 5E, you read a bit and you go, right? You can only memorize for the exam. But when you know them, you know them. You don't need them like they must be here. But for the exam, it is. Now, there is what we call 5E. 5E, speed maximum is what? 1,000 megabits per second. 1,000, it means 1 giga. So that cable can send thousands of gigabits per second. Gigabytes is when we're talking about storage. Bits when we're talking about the speed, right? When you see a capital letter B, means they are referring to what? Storage. Small letter b, they are referring to speed, right? So capital letter B, it's bytes. Small letter b, it's bits, right? So this 5E, you can see that 5E, it's very fast. So if we got like two networks, you are using a Cat5 for your Ethernet cable, and as we are using Cat5E, the communication will be fast between devices. Why? Because of the category of the cable. And you can see the maximum distance still 100 meters. Now for Cat6, right? But higher category, the money also, the price also become. Category 6, you can see it's 10 gigabits per second, right? More faster, right? So that cable can send 10,000 bits per second, right? Now, but the distance is what? It's minimum, 55 meters. 55, this is the maximum speed between devices. It's 55 meters, right? The same, but the bandwidth also is higher, 250. And 6A and 7, there's also category 8. So what I wanted you to know for this particular lesson, like shortly, there's no need for you to memorize so many things. When you see an Ethernet cable, you must know that these cables comes in categories. Categories means like versions. Those numbers next to the category shows the speed and the length, the maximum distance, right? And this is the table that you are going to look at. But you must know that when you are dealing with category, it's also about the budget of the company or the budget of the person who's asking you to design a network for them. It depends on the money also. You cannot go to Cat7, but the budget is low, right? But if you want to connect like switch to switches with a gigabit port, you can look for those higher category because you want to connect a fast port and like gigabits to gigabits. You can look those 6A or 6 or 7, right? So when you are doing your cabling, you must know which side you're gonna use Cat5, which side you're gonna use 5E, and which side you're gonna use 6A or 7. But when you are connecting like switches between themselves, there you must look at a higher category. All right, okay. So when somebody can say like our network is very slow and so on, you must look at also the category of the cable. But Chinese people, sometimes they are coming with fake one. They will tell you it's 7, it's category 7, but that cable doesn't really provide 10,000 gigabit per second, right? So, and most of the shops now, they are Chinese, you know? So when you are buying those cables, you must buy from a good shop, because if you go to Chinese guy, those ones, you know this, you know the story. So we cannot even talk. Eh? You know the story of Chinese. Hey, we did so many things. Eh? Yeah, okay. Let me first explain those few things. 1 byte is 8-bit. Okay, this one we're gonna talk about them later on, right? Any questions before us are taking today lunch? It's gonna be before time and we're gonna come back before. All right? No, 11:30 and you come back at 12:30, right? Okay, thank you very much. We are done for this second session. Try to do those exercises that talks about MAC addresses, right? Because from the MAC addresses, you're going to do so many configurations. I think even a simple modem, you can block people from a simple modem there. You can just go, you check where it says MAC address filtering. You know, this is where I can allow and block. Yeah.